everybody, welcome back to World History at Home Edition. So, we're doing section 2 today, and there are 2 assignments that you're going to be completing tonight. One being a simple reading, and another one of those shag packets that you've done throughout the school year. So, we're doing section 2, so go ahead and get your notes out, let's get started. So, really, we got to talk about how the Schlieffen Plan failed. It was bad. Russia mobilized more quickly than Germany had thought, and at the First Battle of the Marne in France, it ended German hopes of a quick victory on the Western Front. So they dug in and embraced a style of fighting known as trench warfare, or where both sides literally dug trenches on both sides, and we have a space in between known as no man's land. Now this also began a stalemate, or a deadlock, with neither side being able to defeat the other. Really, on the Western Front, the ability to track how much land you gained in a given day was usually in inches. Unlike the Eastern Front, where we could talk about how fighting it as a more traditional war, moving a lot faster. So here's some images of the Battle of the Somme to give you an idea of the trenches. It's also important to note that these trenches were disgusting. Think like halfway up your calf deep water, you're wearing wool clothes, wool socks, and they never dried. You also lived with rats, lots of mud, lice. So we also have some new technology to talk about, including the rapid-fire machine gun and the long-range artillery gun. My goodness, is this the war where we learn how to wage war in the modern era? Really, this is the first major war where we see guns being used a lot more. Cannons are being phased out, along with cavalry units. We also have poisonous gas, made in a variety of forms, ranging from tear gas to chlorine gas to phosgene and mustard gas, with mustard gas being lethal. And it basically made your skin melt. Yikes, it was not a pleasant way to go. And we also have the first tanks in human history as well, being invented by the British, the Sherman tank being its name, being the first of its kind. Now, even if you look, there's even gas masks made for horses. Yes, that's right, folks, we're still in a period of history where animals were used for warfare. It's also the first one to involve airplanes, where really we have to talk about the flying ace that is the Red Baron, Manfred von Richthofen, of Germany. And we also have Zeppelins, or large gas-filled balloons. Now, you may be aware of a more famous one, of a more disastrous note by the name of Hindenburg, which exploded and crashed in a burning glory. But these Zeppelins were the first, think like your precursor to what we have today is like helicopters and that sort of thing that we involve with warfare. You also have submarines, or U-boats, or as the Germans called them, the Unterspuut. You also have convoys being used for the first time, or groups of merchant ships protected by warships. Here's a little bit more about the convoy system down here. Typically, you had a defensive boundary surrounded by destroyers and cruisers. Whoop, moved on without me telling. And merchant ships behind here, with the attempt that these ships would lure out the enemy's U-boats so they could take them out first. So, battles on other European fronts. Especially on the Eastern Front, things weren't going as well. Casualties were very high, they were indecisive. In the Battle of Tannenberg, Russia was very poorly equipped. And we also have the Battle of the Isonzo River, Caporetto, where it was Italy versus Austria-Hungary. Things did not go well. The Eastern Front was deadly in comparison to the Western Front, where we think about the Western Front as it being a stalemate, things not really changing. The Eastern Front is basically Fast and Furious. It was go, 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 not gonna stop. So the war around the world, so the battles weren't just limited to just Europe. It was taking place all over the place. Now, Japan and Great Britain seized German-held outposts in China and the Pacific, and the Ottoman Empire and the Central Powers decided to take over the Dardanelles, or a vital strait connecting the Black Sea and the Mediterranean Sea. If you remember all the way back to Unit 2, when we did Ancient Greece, the Dardanelles was one of those places on the map assignment. Now, the Ottoman Empire was then cut off from Allied supply lines. Well, excuse me, they cut off the supply lines, making it difficult for Russia. leading to the Battle of Gallipoli, where it was the Ottoman Empire versus the Russians in the Caucasus, along with the Armenians, who were Christian. And we also have France versus the Middle East, led by Colonel T.E. Lawrence, or Lawrence of Arabia, of Great Britain, who led guerrilla raids against the Turks due to a lot of territory to the Arabs. It was a direct response to that. So, War in the Colonies. The Allies overran German colonies all across Africa and Asia, gaining troops, laborers, and supplies wherever they went. And it was kind of a mixed feeling for those colonists. It was either they received very severe, or it was either serve versus fair treatment, or things would go badly. Typically, they asked for volunteers, and hopes of their freedoms would be dashed when Great Britain and France said, "You're now a British or a French colony. You're now under my control." Okay, so that is it for notes for today. So your assignment is, there is a reading on life in the trenches that I want you all to read, and then there is a shagged packet on the Battle of the Somme. So I will see you all next time. Bye, everyone.